This is Retirement Keys with Anthony Congemi from Crescent City Retirement Group. When a part of your financial strategy is out of tune, your long-term goals, your retirement savings, and your legacy can all suffer. With many years of experience in the financial industry, Anthony provides his clients and prospects with the information they need regarding Social Security, retirement income planning, wealth management, and much more. Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful solutions to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now, here is Retirement Keys with your host, Anthony Congemi.
All right, well, hello and welcome back to another show with Retirement Keys. I'm Anthony Congemi with Crescent City Retirement Group, and we want to thank you so much for joining us here this Sunday morning. We have a very special show today. We have a special guest. We're going to be talking to a gentleman, Mike Schoenberg from Schoenberg Healthcare, and we're going to be talking about healthcare planning. As you know, we think that there's 5 key areas to any sound retirement plan: estate and legacy planning, healthcare, investments, income, and taxes. But today we're really going to be doing a deep dive into healthcare planning and retirement communities and that sort of thing. So it's going to be a great show. We're really looking forward to it. But before we get started, I'd like to introduce our fabulous co-host that's with us every Sunday, Tony. Tony, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, great to be here, Anthony. Thanks once again for having me on your show. And it sounds like we've got a great one today. We have a special guest. I like it. And I can't wait to talk to Mike Schoenberg. But yeah, I've had a great week, got a lot done this week, and I think we're actually going to talk about this a bit today, but just coincidentally, what I've been doing this past week, Anthony, is I just got done moving my father-in-law, sold his house, downsized, got him moved into senior living, him and his wife, and so that was quite a process, learned a lot in the process, and there's a lot that goes into it once all of a sudden, a loved one, a spouse, or your mom or dad can't, take care of themselves as much as they could before, and they need to go into assisted living or senior living. So I'm glad we're talking about this topic, but tell us about our special guest and introduce him, Anthony.
Absolutely, Tony. So Mike Schoenberg is here from us today from Schoenberg Care. Schoenberg Care is the largest locally owned and operated senior living company in Louisiana. Schoenberg Care is deeply passionate about investing in and developing smaller, tight-knit senior living communities that become home for their residents and that provide residents the highest levels of customized care. They're very attentive, really just a wonderful place. They're uniquely positioned as a leader in developing and operating top-tier senior communities. Schoenberg Care sets the standard in independent living, assisted living, and memory care throughout our region. So we're really happy to have Mike here with us today because they're, on the front lines, Tony, with assisted living and senior living. And so we're really happy to have Mike here today. Mike, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Anthony. Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. So, Tony, you mentioned that you put you've just got your in-laws into assisted living.
Yep.
How was that process, and what have you learned through that?
Well, I learned that there's a lot of things that could have been done ahead of time that we didn't have done. So some planning is helpful, and I know that's something, Anthony, that you help your clients with. But Mike, I'm interested to hear more about what you do there at Schoenberg Care. And is it Schoenberg or Schoenberg?
Schoenberg is how we go by.
Okay,
yep.
So Schoenberg Care, I of course, I've heard of Schoenberg Care in your facilities, and you have independent living for seniors, along with assisted living and memory care, and you're all over the area then, right?
That's right, Tony. Our family's been in New Orleans area for generations, and about 20 years ago, my brother David Schoenberg, he saw a need for a new standard of senior living communities here in South Louisiana. So with a little help from friends and family and a lot of hard work, he broke ground and built our first senior living and memory care community in Houma. It's called the Suites at Sugar Mill Point, and if you're in Houma, you're probably familiar with it. That community's been the foundation of our company since then. We've now grown to operate and own 14 communities in 3 states. We have 6 here in South Louisiana, and then we have another 8 in Mississippi and South Carolina. Vista Shores and the Suites at Algiers Point are right here in New Orleans and provide both assisted living and memory care choices. We have Beau Provence and Mandeville, which is primarily a memory care community. And we have Park Provence and Slidell, which has independent living, assisted living, and memory care. And Ashton Manor in Luling has assisted living and memory care. And of course, the Houma community I just mentioned is our other Louisiana community where we have memory care. And our listeners may also know of Bay Cove in the Biloxi area where we have assisted living and memory care as well. So we are well positioned to take care of the needs of assisted living and memory care and independent living here in the South Louisiana region.
Right. And people might think, oh, I'm not going to need that, or I won't need long-term care or to go into assisted living. A lot of people, when they're younger, think that way, but the odds are that they will need it. I mean, what is it? 2 out of every 3 people will need some type of assisted living or long-term care. So this is a huge topic. And how are you doing this? How is Schonberg Care changing the way society views senior living? You mentioned that you had a unique take on it. How is it changing the way we view senior living?
Well, I suppose primarily through practicing our core values every day in every interaction we have with our residents and our family members. I mean, one of our key core values is that our residents and our families come first. And that way, so long as we're making decisions with our residents' best interests at heart, we know it's the right decision for our residents and for our company. So we train on this. As a family company, when we interview prospective employees, we emphasize this, and we reward and recognize our executive directors in our communities who run our communities using this core value, putting our residents first. Once again, for instance, this year we were recognized by NRC, which is a national senior living survey company, as providing outstanding customer experience, earning the 2020 Customer Approved Award from NRC, which we're very proud of. So ultimately, our goal is to establish our communities as places seniors look forward to moving into when the time is right. We like to believe that we are a place of first choice rather than a place of last resort for seniors. And that's what we mean by changing the way that our society views senior living. It's important to us for people like your dad, who just moved into a senior living community, to feel like he's welcomed and to feel like it's a new positive step in his life, not a step toward the end of things, if you will.
Right. Yeah, that's good. You know, Tony, I don't know if you know, and we mentioned in a mic before the show that my dad spent 6 or 7 years in an assisted living facility, which is a beautiful place here in River Ridge, Louisiana, St. Francis Villa. And it was a smaller community, but it was just amazing. You know, they did such a great job there. And, you know, as you know, in terms of environments, we talk a lot about that in our long-term care planning, that people can stay home. They can go to these retirement communities or assisted living facilities. There's, of course, adult daycare, and then, of course, the nursing home. But I think it's, you know, important to realize, and I'm sure most of our listeners know this, that these assisted living communities or these senior communities are really, you know, they're just, you know, a lot of them are just beautiful places, and people really, you know, they're not going per se, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but like the residents that you have, are they there because they just can't live on their own, or you know, or are they, or a lot of them there just because of the you know, they have more you know, freedom to live out their retirement years in a more stress-free environment? Mm-hmm. I mean, what would you say the demographic is of the folks that are there?
That's a good question, Anthony. I think the best answer I can give you is that people come to us for a variety of reasons. Many times it's because they're looking for an opportunity to socialize. Many times it's because their adult children feel like they would be safer inside of a home and a community like one of ours. But mostly it's because their quality of life improves substantially when they move in, because they're well taken care of, right. Their laundry is done, their meals are prepared, and their housekeeping is done. and they can spend time focusing on what they enjoy doing, whether it's hobbies or socializing or just enjoying life as it comes.
Right. Yeah, I know. I appreciate that. And I noticed that with my dad, just his quality of life went up greatly because he just, all of those things, as you mentioned, laundry and taking his medicines. And then if he needed additional help here or there, it was there for him. You mentioned hobbies and things. So at Schonberg, do y'all, how do y'all work that out? I mean, everybody's, different, and we've got different hobbies, and we've got gardeners, and we've got people that enjoy other things. How does Schonberg really enhance that for your residents?
So, really, the way that we foster that socialization at our Schonberg Care communities is by focusing on one of our other core values, which is that each of our residents is unique. And by saying that, what we do is we celebrate our residents' individuality. One of the first things we do anytime a resident moves in to one of our communities is capture a life story. We do that by gathering information about their family, work history, pets, accomplishments, military service, likes, dislikes, all their hobbies and interests. And now, of course, gathering that information is the easy part, right? We can have it on a form, but the important part is to put it into practice. So it ends up in somebody's file folder. It doesn't do anybody a whole lot of good. So what we do then is part of that socialization that I mentioned earlier, we'll be sure to introduce our residents to other residents with similar hobbies. So, for instance, we have chess clubs in some of our buildings. We have bridge clubs, regular bridge games at some of our buildings. And we have guest speakers come in to talk about their interests, whether it be gardening or financial investing, for instance. And all of those things are designed to really enhance their experience in the senior living community, to challenge them both intellectually and emotionally, to keep them sharp, frankly. So our staff also reads these life stories. And that way, when our staff is interacting with our residents, they're doing so on a meaningful, personalized level. As you mentioned before, it's important for us to make sure that our residents feel like they're at home. We just come to work in their home. That's the way we treat things with them. So we've seen new residents come from being isolated at their house to visiting with a new best friend every morning over a cup of coffee because of our efforts to encourage that vital socialization. And because the size of our communities is usually smaller than the big box national brands for assisted living, we offer more personalized, what we call kind of a boutique home-like environment for our residents. So that personalization is really key for our goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. Thank you so much for that, Mike. And Tony, what a wealth of information, huh?
Well, yeah, it's been great. And, we should take a quick break here for just a minute. But then when we come back, I have some more questions for you, Mike, about your senior living centers and assisted living. So I know both Anthony and I have a ton of questions for you. This is a great topic, an important one. But before we go to break, Anthony, why don't you let our listeners know about that offer you have for them?
Absolutely. So we just want to thank you so much for joining us here at Retirement Keys each and every week. We really appreciate our listeners. We're so pleased to have Mike with us today, and we want to do more of that. Bring in some industry experts on the topics that we are so passionate about as it relates to creating that stress-free retirement that we talk so much about. And so I would just encourage you, if you're listening today and you don't have a formal retirement plan, as you know, we think that estate planning and healthcare planning and an investment strategy and income planning and tax planning is all so important, especially closing out this year as it relates to tax planning. And of course, we have a very unique year this year, and we certainly, sometimes getting that second opinion is so worthwhile. So I would just encourage you, if you're listening and you don't have that formal retirement plan, or you'd just like to get a second opinion on what it is you're doing, please take advantage of this special offer.
You've been listening to our shows and advice on getting your finances in order and creating a retirement income plan that will last. Now is the time to take advantage of our special offer. This is Anthony Kangemi of Crescent City Retirement Group, and we're now offering a complimentary gourmet dinner and retirement planning workshop, The 5 Keys to a Stress-Free Retirement. This is one workshop you won't want to miss. Call in the next 20 minutes for this no-cost offer. Seating is limited. Call Crescent City Retirement Group within the next 20 minutes at 504-828-2171. That number again is 504-828-2171.
And welcome back to Retirement Keys. I'm your co-host, Tony Shore. Our host is the man with the plan, Anthony Congemi. And today we are fortunate to have a very special guest with us, and that is Mike Schonberg, and you're the president of Schonberg Care. And you own a number of facilities, senior living, assisted living, memory care. So how do you entice people? What sets you apart? And how do you ease people's minds? What do you offer them when they're moving into a senior living home?
Well, before the break, we were talking about personalization, and that's really key. We focus on that very much. But to provide that personalization and that excellent service, I think one of the things that we focus on is transparent communication and education. If we provide transparent communication to our residents and, of course, their concerned family members, we find that that goes a long way to building trust, and that's really important to us. So, today's senior livings, frankly, are nothing like the stereotypes from decades ago. We provide top-notch meals 3 times a day and well-appointed dining areas, for instance. We have a lot of activities, book clubs, events, entertainers come and provide concerts. We have exercise classes. We have hair salons, card games and clubs. We do physical therapy through our physical therapy partners in our buildings. And we also have educational speakers. And on top of that, some of our buildings have outdoor gardens so that the gardeners in our groups can stay active and busy that way. The programming we offer, frankly, is second to none compared to what was being offered years ago in the assisted living world. You mentioned that in moving your dad in, that there were some new things that they're taking care of for him, and that's very standard stuff. We take care of laundry, housekeeping, medications is important. That's one of the services that a good assisted living building will provide, is taking care of all the medications, keeping track of when they're supposed to be provided, making sure that the dosages are right, taking care of reordering the prescriptions as the prescriptions start to run down, taking all the worry about whether mom or dad are getting their meds like they should. And of course, the activities of daily living are there as well. If there's need some help with dressing or bathing, those types of things, we can take care of that for you as well. But the best way, frankly, to learn about all of that is to give us a call and take a tour. Come visit our website at schonbergcare.com and learn some more about our company. All that being said, if there's one thing that this year has taught us, it's that people, especially seniors, need people. Living in a senior community provides an immediate social network of peers. We found that our residents fare much better when they're social, having meals with each other, exchanging ideas, and talking about the news of the day. All of these things contribute greatly to their quality of life and longevity, we believe. So living at home alone in isolation, while it may feel comfortable for some seniors, we think is probably not the best thing for our seniors as they age. So all of those things, Tony, are some of the reasons why we think that, at least checking out a senior living community and finding one that provides a great fit is really important for our seniors in the coming years.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, obviously, and wow, the list of amenities and things that you provide to the people that move in there, it is amazing. And how well taken care of they are and how nice these facilities are. I think it is great. And I'm glad you mentioned people can come and take a tour. There's no cost. You'll be more than happy. The places will show them around, give them tours of the facilities. And before we go, we're going to go back through where those are and how they can get a hold of you and some more contact information. But it is interesting. A lot of people worry about long-term care or needing it. And Anthony, you and I talk about how to cover the costs and how to be prepared for this. And we've touched on this quite a bit in the past, haven't we?
Yeah, we sure have, Tony. And when you're sitting with clients and you're going through their retirement planning, and then you start getting into the healthcare planning aspect of it. So many of us, well, really all of us, I mean, in the back of our minds, we're all thinking that, hey, if something happens to me and I'm not able to care for myself, or I need to move into an assisted living facility or even a nursing home. If I had a health issue that would require me to get more care, how am I going to pay for it? And so, and that's so, an important question to ask. What does it cost? And then how are we going to pay for it? And so I'd like to just kind of present that question to Mike for starters, and then we can kind of get into some of the ways to fund it. But in the back of people's minds, okay, this sounds great. If I want to move into a retirement community, it could be a real wonderful experience, and it is for so many people that do. But what does it cost, and how do people pay for it?
Well, it's a great question, and really it depends on the person's individual needs primarily. As a general proposition, the costs can start out at about $3,000 a month, give or take, and we go from there depending on the level of needs and care that an individual might need. So we go over in depth with a potential new resident and their family about those costs and about creative ways that we can find to make sure that those costs are met. And starting with some long-term care insurance coverage. One of the things that we like to do is go over those policies that they've already provided, or they've already purchased rather, with our new residents, and talk about ways to make that claim. We'll help them make that claim for the insurance company and get those funds rolling in to help defray the cost. Mm-hmm. In addition to that, there are VA benefits that might be available to veterans and or their spouses for moving into assisted living communities like ours. Mm-hmm. And then last but not least, one of the things that's really useful for our prospective residents is going over what we call a financial worksheet with them to compare the costs of staying at home versus the cost of moving into an assisted living or memory care facility community like we have. And that, once you really start adding up all the expenses of staying at home, by the time you add up your utility bills and your insurance and groceries and housekeeping, upkeep, right, all of those things can start to add up pretty quickly. And what we find is that most people decide that it's more affordable than they thought.
I think in the back of our heads, a lot of times we think, oh, well, gee, that's a nursing home, or that's and then I've got to spend all my money, and we've got to spend down and all of these things. Well, hey, let's face it, we've come a long way from that.
Yeah, we really have. And I think we've got the two guys that can help our listeners out right here. From the financial perspective, Anthony, you're offering the complimentary consultation. And from the senior living perspective, Mike, you run these homes and really understand this and can help our listeners out. Speaking of that, we've only got a couple of minutes left here. So this all sounds fantastic. Let's say we got a listener out there, they want to move in or at least find out how. How can our listeners get more information on one of those tours you mentioned?
Well, the most direct way is to go right to our home website, which is schonbergcare.com, and I'll spell that for you. It's SCHONBERG, CARE, schonbergcare.com. And if you go to schonbergcare.com, what you'll find is a listing of each of our beautiful 14 communities, and all you have to do is click on the one in your area, and that'll bring you right to their website, and you can fill out a form. Each of those website forms comes right to my desk as the president of the company, and I'll ensure that somebody gets back to you right away when you fill one of those out. Alternatively, I can give you a phone number of our home office, and that is 504-861-4530. You'll probably get the phone answered by Valerie, one of the best assistants in the whole wide world, and she can get you the right name and number of somebody to get you on one of those tours. There's plenty of information on the websites, too, by the way, that takes care of a lot of the questions that your listeners may already have, too.
Right. And then I have to ask, do you have any special offers or mentions for our viewers or listeners out there?
Absolutely. If any of your listeners have heard us on the radio today and they mentioned that they heard the radio show about Schonberg Care, we will agree to waive their community fee, which is kind of a move-in fee that we charge everyone at their first month. And we'll waive that fee if they move in sometime between now and the end of the year.
All right. Well, that sounds great. And a lot of great information, Mike. I'm sure a lot of our listeners will want to check that out. Anthony, do you have anything else you want to add before we go today?
Yeah, well, I just want to thank you, Tony, and thank Mike. Y'all really enhance Tony, you enhance the show every week. We have the best co-host I think that money can buy. We really appreciate you. Mike's been incredible. And as I sit here and think about what I know about assisted living in these types of communities, and then having this relationship with Mike and hearing more about Schonberg Care, we spend so much time talking about the funding and protecting assets and funding for our retirement, these retirement communities, but to really see these communities and that Schonberg Care is operating, and just the beauty of the facilities and the services they provide. It's in a lot of cases, it's really a step up. It could be an enhanced living experience. Anyway, I appreciate Mike for joining us today. Thank you so much, Mike, for being here. And I would just encourage you, if you're listening and you say, I'd like to have a retirement plan, or I'd like to have a second opinion on what we're doing, take advantage of our special offer.
Thank you for listening to Retirement Keys. Don't pay too much for taxes or retire without a sound income plan. For more information, please contact Anthony Congemi at Crescent City Retirement Group. Call 504-828-2171 or visit the website at crescentcityretirement.com. All matters discussed during this show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. Anthony Congemi and Crescent City Retirement Group are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency.